Hello, my friends, and welcome back. Thank you very much for being with me again today. Bad mistake for Al Capone by challenging Russia in Ukraine, because there was a status quo on this planet, which is we're not going to do this if you don't do this. If you do this, we're going to do this. It was a balance, kind of. And the balance is good because some entities must be kept in check as other entities are kept in check by the other entities. But if you have only one, a monopoly, one Al Capone in Chicago, then he's not going to be checked by anybody. So Russia was kept in check, obviously, by the United States of America, and the United States of America, to a certain extent, was not doing all the hanky-pankies. They did, and it was countered in Syria by Russia. And that was the moment when Al Capone said, wait a minute, you want to challenge my Chicago authority? I'm going to show you. And there is Ukraine, for instance, sooner than later. So what happens now? Russia said, yes, okay, I'm going to show you how the status quo is going to disappear. And I'm going to show you how if I push the buttons I didn't put so far, I'm going to hurt you globally. And they did. They started discussing more and more with the Eastern Asian countries, went into Africa, created a lot of problems, South America, a lot of problems, then North Korea. North Korea did not happen, the alliance, whatever is about to happen between North Korea and Russia, just because Russia somehow needs them right now. No, that's a big process. It's a process of activating and causing problems. Problems that they could have done before, but they didn't. The Russians just switched on. That's why they did. That's why the BRICS accelerated. That's why BRICS enlarged. For the same reason. You want it, you're going to have it. And now Al Capone is like, actually these guys can really hurt us, but we thought they couldn't because we thought we were so tough. That's how they thought. Ideology and, how should I put it, threats. You're not going to do it because if you're going to do it, we're going to kick you out of SWIFT. We're going to slap you with sanctions. Did they work? No, didn't. So the West, Al Capone and his vassal states, used from their little sleeves all the aces, almost all the aces they had, and did not work. So now Russia, after North Korea, they are forging an alliance probably with Libya. It seems like, you see, United States, Al Capone goes in with his vassal states, destroy something, get out and forget about it. And then there are other countries, they say, hey, let me help you, let's, and Al Capone gets upset and say, what? No, it's mine. Remember the Solomon Islands? The same thing. The United States got his embassy out in 1976 or something, if I remember correctly, or 96, maybe 76. Anyway, it doesn't matter. They said, we don't need you. Now China got in. And all of a sudden, United States is like, hold on, I'm coming. And they started sprinting towards Solomon Islands because all of a sudden they're so important strategically. Not until China got in. And they want to open an embassy in Solomon Islands. All of a sudden, an embassy doesn't come only with, ambassadors or consuls or staff. They come with certain kind of staff as well. And I'm waiting for a little regime change over there. Some spontaneous, protests. Anyway, let's go to this article and show you here, Russia Today. Putin meets Libyan Commander Khalifa Haftar. You're toast. Toast. Their discussion focused on the situation in Libya and the surrounding region, according to the Kremlin. This is the result of these guys' lack of ability, or not ability, desire, willingness to negotiate, to use diplomacy. Why? Because they said, I got this, nobody opposes me, I can do whatever I want, it's faster and easier. Like, for instance, those parents who employ corporal punishment or physical punishment, it's easier. You smack the child and he shuts the fuck up. It's harder to explain and be, constructive and pay attention. It takes too long. Smacking the child solves the problem in the short term. In the long term, affects the child worse than if you would stay with the child and talk with him and so on. But the same here. These guys, the Americans, just smacked around the countries. I don't have to go with Yugoslavia, Iraq, Afghanistan, Syria, and Libya, just to mention them. And there's a puck negotiation. No, you do what I tell you, or I'm going to smack you. Boom. So now Russians are in Africa again. Aside from Niger and Burkina Faso and others that are just kicking the French out. Russian President Vladimir Putin has held a meeting in Moscow with the commander of the Libyan National Army, LNA, Field Marshal Khalifa Haftar. Kremlin spokesman Dmitry Peskov said on Thursday, he's not a person, he's a man. He's got balls still. I mean, he doesn't act like, but anyway. And I'm quoting, yes, we confirmed this meeting. Indeed, it took place today in the Kremlin. The situation in Libya and in the region as a whole was discussed. We take over, Red Rover. LNA officials said Haftar discussed bilateral relations between the two countries, ways of their strengthening and development, as well as issues of mutual interest. During this meeting, his meeting with the Russian leader, the Libyan commander arrived in Russia for an official visit on Tuesday, when he was greeted by Russian Deputy Defense Minister Colonel General Yanush Bekyekurov. A Russian Defense Ministry delegation visited Libya for the first time. Russian Defense Ministry delegation visited Libya for the first time on August 22. According to the department's press service, Yevkurov and Haftar planned to discuss the potential for collaboration in the fight against international terrorism and other issues of mutual interest. Now they call it like this: I want to smack you, I'm going to use international terrorism. I mean, the United States started it in 2001 after they were attacked by those guys. Remember, oh, you disagree with me, you're a terrorist. I designate you that, you can't do shit, we're gonna punch you in the face. That's what they did, and they're still doing it. Remember, the US troops and the French troops in Niger at this moment are fighting terrorism, if you didn't know that, okay? And the same, the American troops, about 900 troops in northeast Syria, they fight, again, terrorism over there. And in the meantime, they just suck the oil dry of the Syrian people. But hey, we do it, so it must be good. All right, so it says here, on September 17, Yevkurov traveled to Benghazi and met with Haftar, visiting Derna, a city that had been devastated by intense floods. Meanwhile, U.S. Africa Command leader Michael Langley met with the head of the Libyan government of national unity, Prime Minister Abdul Hamid Dbeibah, in Tripoli. He then traveled to Benghazi to meet with Khalifa Haftar, and this happened just 6 days before Yevkurov had visited Benghazi and Derna. The Wall Street Journal reported that Langley had intended to discuss Russia's growing presence in the region. Yeah, they're fighting for Libya. Now they come to Libya. Remember, they killed Gaddafi in 2011, if I remember correctly, like a rat. And I made that video with Hillary Clinton. We went, we saw, he died. Awful human being. But anyway, and I contrasted that with how Putin reacted to the killing of Gaddafi. Good or bad? Putin said he should have a trial. Who decided that he has to die? NATO? Why? Who gave NATO the right to do so? And so on. I made that video yesterday with Hitler and Putin. Nevertheless, here it is, my friends. The Russians are expanding, and they were going to go and create problems for Al Capone. Why? Because Al Capone creates problems next door, as the Russians say, on our porch. And more to come. I guarantee you, Cuba will be a big problem. Mexico will be a big problem. And what's that? Not Guatemala. It's a Central American country. Guatemala. I can't remember the freaking name. There's another one over there that doesn't really follow orders. It's the one with Noriega was in charge of. Is it Noriega? I can't remember the name of the country. Let me look for it. Jesus Christ. It is Nicaragua, and it was not Noriega. Noriega was with Panama. My bad. So anyway, Nicaragua. So here we have it, my friends. They are fighting, scrambling for influence, and the world will be divided into clearly with different institutions and different actions, different organizations, and the United States will remain with its 40 weasel states, which probably is going to disintegrate, which is the European Union. Some of them will leave, And the NATO, again, will stay as much as it can, but will probably disintegrate as well, little by little. The US will, Al Capone will have a smaller criminal gang to work with. That's how I foresee this happening, but we'll see. And that could happen in a few years, 2, 3, 4, 5 years. It depends how long the thing in Ukraine lasts and how it ends. If Russia does not collapse, it goes that way I just said. If Russia collapses, then Al Capone will take over the United States of America, not only Chicago. Thank you very much for being with me again today. Stay strong, stay smart, look for the truth, and be just.